All right, guys. Today we're going to talk about how do we find the slope given three forms: slope-intercept form, standard form, point slope form. Okay, so you may have heard of slope-intercept form before. It just means y equals mx plus b. Anything written in that form, we can determine the slope by just looking at the number beside the x on the right side of the equal sign. So m is our slope. For example, if we have y equals 5x plus 35, then that 5 that's sitting right beside the x is our slope. And number 2, if we have y equals negative 7 over 8x minus 19, this number negative 7 over 8, which is said to be the coefficient of x, is our slope. How about take a minute and complete 3 and 4. See if you can determine the slope. All right. Hopefully you've had a minute to find the slope of 3 and 4. For number 3, negative 4 is what's sitting beside our x here. And that's the slope. For number 4, it's 1/2. All right. But everything doesn't work that way, right? If we're looking at slope-intercept form, we can do that, whatever is beside x. However, with standard form, it doesn't quite look like slope-intercept form. All right, we have a couple of ways we might do this. All right, one way is so many people make the mistake of saying, oh, there's a number beside the x here, so that must be the slope. For instance, in number 5, there's a 6, so we think that might be the slope. But that's just not the case. It's only the case when y is solved for. And looking here, y is not solved for. There are actually two terms over here on the left side of the equation, and y is not by itself. Therefore, the number beside x is not our slope. To find the slope, we can use negative a divided by b. And you may be saying, what? Right? But basically, we're turning this standard form into slope-intercept form, all right? And we do that instead of teaching you the whole thing. We just use this formula. So in each problem, we're looking for our a and our b. For instance, in number 5, our a is 6. Our b is 3. So that means that the slope would be the opposite of a, or 6, divided by b, which is negative 2. We would do the same thing for 6, right? Our a is negative 2, our b is 2, so we would take the opposite of a. So since we have negative 2, we would do positive 2 divided by 2. That gives us 1. All right, and number 7, our a is 8. And our b is negative 4. So we do the opposite of a divided by negative 4. All of that would give us 2. Now I want you to try number 8. Negative 5, yep, divided by 10 gives us negative 1/2 or negative 0.5. That's our slope. Some people struggle with remembering the whole negative a over b. So there's another method that I like to teach, which is that we put our parentheses here, all right here at the c, all right, we put a minus sign, and then we come to the beginning and write AX. Close parentheses divided by. So now that we've written down the AX, we're left with BY. Well, remember I said we're changing into slope-intercept form, so all we need is the b. So we divide by b, and now we're left with y equals c minus ax close parentheses divided by b. This puts each of these equations into slope-intercept form so that all you need to do is plug this into the calculator. All right, you go into y equals, right? And you plug this into the calculator, and then you go to second graph to find the slope based on the table. And that may sound a little confusing. We talked about it in class and we'll talk about it more. But you can do that for each one of these. If remembering this is a little hard, we can always do this as a method, right? Again, open parentheses behind the equal sign, right? So we have 16, come to the beginning and write minus whatever is there, 6x. So then we do close parentheses divided by the number that's left, which is 3. And then we have y equals, open parentheses, 16 minus 6x, close parentheses divided by 3. And what that does is it allows us to go ahead and plug this just as it is in the calculator into the y equals, go to second graph, and then we're able to find the slope, which we already know it to be, I believe we said -2. All right, and we just continue to practice this, right? We can continue to practice this. So we open parentheses again. We have 20 minus what we see, which is -2x, close parentheses divided by, and then +2. Again, plug this into our y equals, go to second graph, and use the table to find the slope. We've already talked about how to find the slope from a table because slope is y over x, right? So we just go like that. Same thing for number 7, open parentheses. Open parentheses minus, what do we see? 8x, close parentheses divided by what we're left with, which is a -4 because of that minus sign. And then we have what we need. All right, so I want you guys to practice finding the slope here for 7 and then go and try 8. All right, so for point slope form, it's pretty self-explanatory. The hardest part is the standard form, right? But if we look at point slope, it's pretty simple. We have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And that might seem a little complicated, right? And whenever it seems complicated, you should know that we're dealing with point slope form, where the number right outside of the parentheses is the slope, okay? Don't forget that this is the equation here, right? So we do have y minus y1 on the left side, and the right side has a number times x minus x1, which is normally a number as well. So we have an example of what this looks like right here in number 9. We have y minus 10 equals -2 times x plus 3. And well, people, there we have it. All right, there we have it. So what's the slope? Remember, that's the point. For each problem, find the slope. I said it's the number right beside the parentheses. So our slope here is -2. Okay. And what about in number 10, right? We have y plus 13 equals 5 times x minus 1. And we said the slope is right beside the parentheses, right? Or we could say in between the parentheses and equal sign, you know, however you need to look at it. But it's still 5. So that means 11 is, yep, the slope is 8 over 9. And then finally, for number 12, our slope is -1 over 4. So when we're looking at point slope form, remember the slope is just the number right beside the parentheses. Okay. Slope intercept form, the slope is right beside the x, right? Standard form, you just got to do a little bit of work. Okay? But you can do it.